Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Joya Caso. I am an anxiety support coach, licensed psychotherapist, and I help women through a transformative journey of dismantling self judgment so they can connect with their worth and thrive on their own terms. And I'm happy to be here tonight. Every week, I do try to do my live stream on different topics um, on mental health, emotional well being, and as well as just all the things that are connected to that. And tonight's topic is about anxiety. So last week I talked about what does it really mean to prioritize your well-being, and I wanted to then now continue on to talk about just emotions and starting with anxiety because I think there's so many misconceptions about emotions, and we as a society, as a culture, as a whole are just so uncomfortable with emotions, right? We don't talk about them, we don't express them. We simply avoid, dismiss, minimize, and all of those things that are not really helpful to us. In the long run, they're actually harmful because the more that you suppress your emotions, the more that they actually get stronger. And in psychology, we call that amplification. We think for some reason that if we, you know, if we don't talk about them, we don't uh, process them or anything like that, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, right? But emotions don't work that way because emotions are energy in motion. And so they compound, they add up the more that we silence those feelings that we have. And tonight is about anxiety, the most misunderstood emotion. Anxiety is unpleasant and uncomfortable, but it is an emotion just like happiness and excitement. And if you've seen the Inside Out 2 movie, you know, anxiety was a new emotion that was added there. I won't share any spoilers because I think it's a pretty good movie in a way that there's just so much to take from there as a conversation starter, as something that you can, discuss with your family or your friends about emotions. And I would be interested to, see an Inside Out movie that depicts emotions for adults, right? Because this one is about a teenager named Riley. So that would be interesting to see as well. And in that movie, just the way that anxiety was portrayed got different reactions from different people. Some people I've heard, they thought that it was too much, right? Anxiety in that movie was just way too much. And some people also said like it was confusing or they couldn't relate. And then other people, of course, said, it was relatable. Anxiety is unpleasant and uncomfortable, as I said. But remember that one of the most important things about it is that it is not a disorder, it is not an illness, so to speak. And if you are experiencing anxiety, there is nothing wrong with you. And it doesn't mean that, that would be a reason to be diagnosed or anything like that. It is certainly a good starting point to either have a coach or a therapist to learn coping skills. You don't only need to go to therapy because you have a diagnosis. You can learn so much about yourself, and you can learn coping skills. There's so many ways to work with the energy of anxiety. And it becomes uh, crippling or debilitating when really, we don't know how to release it. We don't know how to work with it. We don't have an outlet for the anxiety, right? So that's how it impacts our day to day lives. And it doesn't have to be. In fact, so many doctors, right, or psychiatrists and experts in the mental health field uh, understand and share this knowledge that an appropriate level of anxiety is okay, and in many ways really needed, because it brings with it, that kind of determination or motivation to stay focused, right? In short spurts, if you will. And we don't necessarily, wish for an absence of anxiety. That's not the reason why, I coach or uh, do therapy with my clients, is so that we can eliminate anxiety, so that we can, get rid of it once and for all. And emotions really carry valuable message to us, for us. And it's telling us something, even anxiety, right? It could be connected to the future, any fears that we haven't dealt with in the past. And it could also signal whether we are in danger or safe, right? And it is a protective mechanism. So, no, we don't want to get rid of it in its entirety. We just want to understand what it is signaling to us. It is also uh, it also comes with sensations. And so many times the sensations can come first before we can say, oh, that's anxiety, or before the brain can process, this is anxiety, right? Butterflies in your stomach, shaking or trembling, sweating of the palms, constricted breathing, right? And when you're gasping for air, or when you start to have palpitations, and sometimes there could also be lightheadedness or dizziness. And when you have sensations like that, try to pause. If you can, take a step back and sit down and let your body sort of reset. You cannot do two things at once, right? You cannot be with the sensations and then think, what is going on? What is happening? And that is the urge in us to go in to the cognitive side, to talk to our brain and make sure, we understand what is happening. Unfortunately, that's not how our mind and body connection works, right? It is, you really have to do kind of like a one thing at a time, especially with the breath, right? You want to stabilize, what we call stabilize your breath in a way that feels comfortable for you, so that the next step would be reorienting yourself. Okay, where am I? What's happening? What do I see in my surroundings? How am I feeling? You cannot multitask when it comes to your emotions. You want to, if the sensations came first, right? Sit with those sensations, sit with the physical symptoms. If the thoughts came first, then you also would want to, maybe write it down, jot it somewhere. And, there are also a couple of things that you can do, a mindful practice of just um, visualizing your thoughts being sort of like taken by the clouds, um, or visualizing a body of water, such like a river, and your thoughts being carried by the the logs in the river, right? So you can be an observer first of your thoughts, because when it comes to anxiety, usually what happens is, even when the thoughts come first, it's going to be followed by physical sensations, right? So you want to be an observer. You want to notice the thoughts, you want to notice the physical sensations. And then once you believe that you have caught up with your breath, you have managed those physical sensations, then you can now move into asking yourself, what is going on, right? Do not be surprised and do not feel frustrated if you don't get the answer all at once or immediately. Your body, your mind takes a little time to, reset. And it may take, sometimes it may even take, a day or two. And then you'll start to realize, oh, this is why I was feeling anxious, because I didn't sleep the night before. And then I had to do a presentation for my team. Or, oh, I had back to back things happening with my personal life and my business. So my body just needed to signal that to me. So those are the things that you want to keep in mind when you are dealing with, just feelings of anxiety. Remember that it is a feeling, it is not a pathology, or it is not um, an illness to feel anxious, right? But you can always take a proactive approach. I definitely recommend having this toolbox of coping skills. And when you are in therapy or in coaching for your emotions or your anxiety, you can start there, and you don't have to even dig deeper into your past or anything like that, um, if it is not needed, right? Like, you can just simply try to understand what is going on with my body, what's going on with my mind when I'm feeling anxious, and how can I get to a place where it is not impacting my day to day. It is the most misunderstood emotion, because there's a lot of things going on. Your thoughts could be racing, and your heart, your chest could be tightening or beating fast. And so there's just so many things that are happening all at once. And it is also built on memories that you've already accumulated, right, in the past, even though the fear is in the future of something that hasn't happened yet. There is also an association that your body has memorized, so to speak, and it brings it back. And that's why the feelings of anxiety resurface, if you will. Um, so I hope that helps you. If you have any questions, feel free to comment, or my email and the rest of my information are also in the description box of this live stream. And next week, we will talk about sadness. So we will try to, or I'll try to go through some of the major emotions and then go from there. And of course, I also have reserved, topics that are worth discussing, such as trauma and how we heal from trauma. How do we break, the cycle of intergenerational trauma? So thank you all for being a part of my community, and I'll see you again next week.